Welcome back to Speak Your Own Business. In this episode, we'll be talking to today, and we'll be joined today with Hannah Logan and Stuart Morrison. So, both are growth mentors in the business world. And today, I am going to be hosting the podcast. So, my name is Tim Holt. I am the director of the marketing agency Plenty of Stuff Studio, and we are sort of based in Hampshire. So so it's going to be a bit of a strange podcast today. It's pretty much unscripted, and we'll just be interested to sort of see like the backstory of these individuals and sort of learn more about their background, I suppose. So where would you like to start on our podcast today?
First of all, I'd like to clear up. I am Stuart Morrison, and my other fantastic person in pink here is the esteemed Hannah Logan. Just so in case anybody's hearing this and thinking, who's whom?
They are both in pink.
We are both in pink, but not to be confused. Equally magnificent and yet very different at the same time.
Absolutely.
Hannah has tried growing moustache, and I've got to tell you, it is the rival of mine.
But
she said it's the whole beard. It's the whole beard or nothing with Hannah.
I had to get rid of it because it was embarrassing Stuart, because his shtick is the moustache, well, amongst many other awesome parts of him. But yeah, I just outshone him. It was getting embarrassing. Yeah. So sorry about that, Stu. I learnt my lesson.
Appreciate you.
Sounds like you're quite jealous there, Stuart.
Well, it's all right. I take after my mum, so you know. Tim, get on with it. Come on, take control.
Let's crack on. So let's go. So could you sort of tell us more about yourself? So Hannah, so what is your background in the whole business world?
Business background. So I guess over my career, I have worked primarily in sales and marketing, but that's across various different verticals. I worked in a film company for many years, which was magnificent in my youth, where I could cope with nightly getting drunk sessions, events, all of the pizzazz of the film industry. I couldn't do that now. And I've worked for Cadbury's, which was awesome. So chocolate films. I worked in a print company and stuff. So, but mainly, I won't bore you with my long list of companies that I work for. Just sales and marketing, really. And I've evolved now to a growth mentor because I prefer working with small businesses. So, yeah.
And how about yourself, Stuart?
Well, have we got 2 hours?
Get a cup of tea, Tim.
I'll have a cup of tea. I do actually have a cup of tea. So
back when dinosaurs roamed the earth and I was a young lad, I said to my dad, I want to be an actor. And my dad said to me, yes, but what are you going to do to earn a living? And I have been walking that precarious tightrope ever since. So when I left school, I trained to be an engineer, and I was actually an aircraft and mechanical production engineer for 10 years. It gave me a love of all things precise, numbers, definitives. I do like a hard, definitive number so, engineering brain. But I had a massive breakdown, and during my recovery, I was thinking to myself, I don't want to lie on my deathbed and think about all the things I didn't do. And I'd rather be poor and have failed at doing all of the things I wanted to do, but ticked off like the bucket list of life, than just spend 9 to 5 in a basically workshop prison. So I had flirted with self-employment way before I trained to be an engineer, because as a kid I used to fix people's bikes or other kids' bikes in the street, and then that progressed on to fixing cars because my dad was into cars, and so that meant I was into cars. And I would regularly service cars at the weekend as an apprentice, and we started dismantling classic VWs and selling them. So it's a whole kind of backstory of engineering. And then I went, I'm going to be an actor, and everyone went, oh God. And then within 18 months, I had my equity card, and I'd been in a couple of films and been on a couple of TV shows. Nothing that anyone will ever remember or think to go and check out on Netflix. But it was a success. People could go to the cinema and see my face on a screen and go, oh, well, Stuart made it. He did it. And like with most of my life, once I've achieved something, I'm like, what, do this for the next 30 years? So I started various businesses and just went after my special interests. And fast forward to the age of 57, and they go, yeah, you're autistic. And when I look back at everything I've done, I'm like, oh yeah, that tracks. So that's how Hannah and I became working in business, because we started a podcast called the Business Oddcast when we met at a networking event, and we hit it off like nothing on earth. We were laughing like drains very quickly, and it evolved into, well, if we're having these conversations about business and life and our own various foibles and neurodivergent traits, then we might as well record it and put it in front of other people. And if it can be of help, and we know that we've already been told it's helped people, and that's what we're here for, to help people grow. And quite often with a small business, the growth has to come from within the brain of the person who's doing the website, doing the business, to be able to change whatever it is they're doing. They've got to change their mind first. So that's the interesting part for us.
Yeah.
And there we go. And breathe, Stu, and breathe.
So how long have you both been working together then?
Yeah. When was the
32
official
episodes.
It's
only felt like 407 episodes,
It's about 23 years of painful. No.
Painful therapy ahead of you. Yeah.
I think we have known each other for over a year.
Yeah.
And I guess quite quickly, we just it's like what Stuart just said. We got chatting at a networking thing. I think I came in the room and I felt really awkward, but I was dressed in the kind of outfit that somebody that felt a bit socially awkward would never wear. So I'm just a giant contradiction. I think I might have had my leopard print jumpsuit on.
You had a leopard print jumpsuit on,
like,
100%.
Look at me, da-da, here I am with my claws out.
Well, why not?
and I owned it. But so like Stuart said, really, when we first sort of met each other and had a proper conversation, we were just downloading. I think I told him my entire life story, including like all the bits you probably shouldn't tell somebody the first time you probably meet them, and he didn't flinch. And I was like, he's a keeper. We're like little bits, little magnets, kind of. And I just kind of used him a little bit like a kind of force field for all the other people in the room that I wasn't quite ready to talk to yet as well. Like it was, it was awesome. And ever since then, we just have evolved with the Oddcast, and like Stuart said, it became an obvious step to start recording those chats, because actually we were helping each other. And then we were like, I think Stuart said, back in when we first started to do it, he was like, we should record these because they're really funny, even if I do say so myself. We are a couple of
make me laugh.
They make
That's
me
the
laugh.
main reason.
They are funny. But and the beautiful thing is, there's so much strength in the power, so much strength and power in group empathy.
Yeah.
If you've, whatever it is, it's not necessarily to do with neurodivergence, but if you've got something and then you can relate to a group of other people that are like, yeah, I get it, or we appreciate this, and that's an incredible force, isn't it? So yeah, but that was a very vicarious way of answering your question of how long we've been working together, when we met each other. I basically took your question, Tim, ignored it.
Thank you very much.
Not on purpose, though. Like, my brain was like, oh, I prefer this question that I made up myself, even though it was quite similar. Sorry about that. We've not known each other as long as you would imagine.
No.
I think we're just really rather similar, so we connected like very quickly, which is awesome.
Yeah,
but do you sort of find it quite daunting at first? So before you sort of first met, it must have been quite a daunting world for both of you. Sort of like you're sort of exploring something a bit new that you weren't really too familiar with? Because you were saying about you worked in like Cadbury's for Hannah, and then Stuart, you sort of done like acting roles. Was it sort of quite a weird world in between that first initial meet between the two of you and where you sort of left that previous world behind?
Do you mean with regard to doing the podcast
No,
or
sort of,
just life?
well, before the podcast. So
Yeah.
before you met each other, there must have been that stage of you're a bit unsure that this is the future, that you wanted to sort of do it. Did you have like any other people that, because now you've sort of got the two of you together, you sort of have that bit more security and a bit more reassurance. It must have been a time before that where you're a bit hesitant of doing like giving out advice or helping other people as well as doing your own business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think I don't know if I was apprehensive. So I won't bore you with the details, but I do have a sort of I do sort of student mentoring stuff, and I'm quite familiar with sort of therapy, not least because I've paid off the mortgages of about most of the therapists in Hampshire probably over the years. But I'm I'm a big believer in the power of sharing, sharing in with a view to helping people and stuff. But my career before I became self-employed, which I missed out earlier, eventually I evolved from being employed to self-employed for the reasons that Stuart said as well, because it's the freedom. I know it doesn't work for everybody. Excuse me, sorry. I know it doesn't work for everybody, but the freedom to be the boss of your own destiny is fairly magnificent. And I wouldn't say that it was actually necessarily a decision so much as circumstance. My job during COVID just flatlined because it was the print industry, and so it felt like the perfect opportunity to kind of to go it alone. But again, I don't think I've answered your question very well. Sorry, Tim. You will learn quite quickly I suck at answering the actual questions.
Make a great politician.
Oh yeah, avoidance. Stuart will answer a bit. Will give you a better answer to that.
No,
question.
I'm going to give you a more confusing answer than the question started with. You see, you're not talking to a normal person. You're not talking to standard issue here. We are not Gen Pop, and so you're not going to get standard or Gen Pop answers. You're going to get so. I was rejected very early on by all the social groups that I came into contact with, except for one, and that was the actors, singers, creatives. And they accepted my eccentricities, my odd ways, my mannerisms, and my needs. And I didn't feel like I had to explain it to them. And I've led my life in that way ever since. That I don't owe anyone an explanation. So if I walk into a room and I've got a loud suit on and you judge me, that's on you. I could not care less. In fact, that's stage one of my marketing. If you don't like what you see on the outside, the inside is going to be a labyrinthine, tortuous hellscape for you to be trapped within. And I will capture you and I will torture you there. See, there are two things in life that you need to do if you want to be annealed to the opinions of others. The first one is to be in a position where you are legally obliged to enforce the rules. Okay, so I was a car clamper whilst I was being an actor during. By night, Matthew, I was a roving actor, but by day, I was the scourge of the car parks in North East Hampshire. You park in any car park within my purview, and you are mine. And so when you're being sworn at on a daily basis, your next logical step is, well, if I'm being sworn at, might as well just try and make people laugh. So I went and did stand-up comedy. And if you think that you've got a hard job, if you like just whatever your job is, imagine somebody stood there saying to you, you're crap at that. Look at you. You think you're good at that? That's terrible. I'm better than you at that. I could stand there and do it at every opportunity. And so if you've got those two things going for you, trying a new thing like a podcast, well, what's the worst that could happen? People would ignore me, not look at me, and never knew that I did it. Well, what have I got to lose?
Yeah. You're pretty much the same as me, because my background is in the arts. So I think, Hannah, you went to the UCA, which I also went to study fine arts. And my whole world was just doing like contemporary art installations way before doing this marketing agency. And it's similar to you. It's like you could just, I think you should be able to just turn up, be comfortable who you are, and just be accepted. And if those people out there that don't accept you, then it's like you're not going to lose out. You can give them a chance to sort of learn each other, like sort of get to know each other. But after a while, if they don't like you, yeah, it's not the end of the world.
Benign indifference is such a wonderful thing to have.
Yeah.
Especially towards your haters. Just a quizzical like, oh, you're an interesting specimen. How do you work?
Yeah. But I find there's a lot of no people in the world. There's so many no people than yes.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Why you say no? Give things a go. No.
And
Well.
it's a bit of a, so this isn't turning as depressing as it sounds. So 7 years ago, my dad died. My dad was a magnificent human. I won't go into how magnificent he was because that's not what we're here for. But up until that point of him getting sick, I was wearing the clothes of somebody that I thought I should be wearing the clothes of, not, that sounds like I was stealing other people's clothes. You know what I mean? I was masking a huge... Got a bit weird. Sorry, Tim. I was kind of, being a businesswoman, and I did a post about this recently, being a businesswoman, what does that look like, and all this kind of stuff. And my dad wore until his 74th year when he passed away, he wore whatever the heck he wanted to wear. He wore band t-shirts, he had studded bracelets, he had magnificent like silver frickin' wizard hair, and he was just like, this is me. And he was unashamedly, as he should be, right, unashamedly magnificent, and I admired that so much. And actually it wasn't until he died that I just thought, I've got to be really careful in my language now. I just thought, what the heck have I got to lose? Here's a guy that was just like, this is who I am. We had a lot of chats about that, and I just thought, yeah. So I was tentatively stepping into, I hadn't quite embraced the unicorn sweatshirt like the one I'm wearing today.
Well,
it was a bit slowly, it was a bit softly, slowly, but then I met Stuart, and here was another person, not dissimilar in a lot of ways actually to my dad, that was not saying Stuart's like my, yeah, that's a bit weird. Sorry, mate. But just another person that's like, well, this is who I am. I don't have to make excuses or apologize for my existence. And in an ideal world, we would all be like that. But obviously, a lot of people can't. But it's a magnificent way to be, because then you're not kind of shackled by societal restraints of what we should be, or and that's what we encourage people as much as we can, although we know so many people can't, and there's no judgment for the people that don't want to or can't, but actually being your true self and not trying to toe some kind of horrible line of society. I don't mean like, I'm not saying go out there and rob somebody, break the rules. I'm not kind of trying to call some kind of chaos to action, but just actually being comfortable in your own skin and rocking up in whatever you want to wear, and being like, yeah, I like it, whatever, it's a beautiful thing. It's so freeing. But so, when Stuart and I, you mentioned about, before we kind of found each other, did we kind of not have that confidence? I don't think it was a case of that. I think we just met, as meeting each other was meeting, a like-minded person. So yes, I think certainly from my point of view, meeting Stuart definitely gave me the courage, and also he has so much knowledge on production and podcasts, and I was just like, what, I've never done, the most I'd ever done was a voice note to myself in my phone at some point probably. So I didn't know anything about that, so it never would have occurred to me to do a podcast or any of that stuff, because I neither had the confidence or the knowledge really. But I was, I had the confidence in myself, I guess, but although that continues to grow as well. So
a lot of the tools that I've built in my own sort of mental landscape, and ways to address the world have been built out of the adversity I faced. And there's a very real message behind the Oddcast. There's a very real purpose for it. There's a reason I turn up loud. There's a reason I turn up the way I do. I can't be anything other than who I am. I've been this way, dancing in a circle of strangers ever since I was a kid who was like a disco. And so now what I want to do, along with Hannah, obviously, is to say to people, yeah, be one of the Odd Squad, be different, be yourself. Don't listen to what other people say. Just because you want to live your life, as long as you're not harming another human on this planet, wear what you like. I don't care. I'm not interested in the rapper. Too many people are cosplaying professional business people when actually they should just be themselves. They'd sell more. And way more likely to buy from you if I think I'm getting you and not some kind of facade or polished or buffed kind of version that you think needs to be. Nobody wants that. That's horrible. Why live life like that? And to be that way for 8 hours a day whilst you're at work. Oh no, that was the reason I didn't want a boss. I didn't want to have to play nice to somebody whose opinions I thought were stupid. I never did anyway. Me and bosses had a very never saw eye to eye. Can wonder why I was made redundant 3 times before the age of 23. So yeah.
It's a learning curve as well. But I'm pretty much like you, but in an opposite way. So I pretty much like to know the person. So I go to these events now, these marketing events, where they're all very similar. Like, you know, like slick back hair. Everyone's like a bit over the top, like really sort of slick, like shoes. I'm there like the opposite, dressed down. And I like to sort of see how people sort of respond back to me if I'm dressed down and not like the norm. So normally you can sort of like, you can dress up or dress down. I tend to dress down to see their response. And again,
I tend to dress out there.
Oh, right, yeah. So, but it's pretty much, but again, for the same response,
yeah.
Because it's so surprising how people react to you not being the same as what they expect you to be. So it's quite a unique way of seeing their true self compared to what they would be like in business. So it's quite an interesting way of sort of using like a subtle trick in a weird way, but also I prefer to get to know people of who they are as well as their own experience.
That makes a lot of sense. I was going to say as well, when Stuart and I started doing the Oddcast, I noticed that I had to change who I was at networking events because the real version of me was on the Oddcast, and then I was rocking up to a networking thing in my sensible Hannah grown up clothes, and people were like, oh, but on the screen you're like kind of cool, and then quite quickly I thought, yeah, I just need to be the real me, because the real me is the Oddcast version, clearly. I just need to be that person, because then I don't have to pretend to be multiple. I've spent, like Stu said, I've spent over 50 years pretending to be various different fitting in versions of myself. It's such a relief when you just be the real version. It really is, assuming the real version isn't offensive and violent or anything. But yeah. So
I was born awesome, and I've just been getting better ever since. And the only people who don't like that are people who don't want people to be awesome. And unfortunately, I am so awesome that I can bottle it and sell it. And if you want some, come and listen to the podcast. That's the way we bottle it. That's the way we keep the lightning in the bottle. Hannah is there as the lightning conductor.
I've got this vision of like this really crazy genie that kind of accidentally the cork comes out like, whoa, get back in.
Rub the lamp this week, listeners, and see how he goes off.
So have you been doing the podcast for a while now? Are you happy of how it's evolving, or is there like new things you want to sort of try with the podcast in the future that you want to sort of push more, or are you sort of like quite happy of how it's developing as it is?
Well, from a production point of view, we nailed the process quite early on, because I'm very process driven. I have to know where I'm at, and I have to have a way of keeping track of it, because the way my brain works is once I stand up out my seat and walk out the door, I've forgotten entire conversations the moment I've left the room because I haven't made a note of it immediately. And so finding that Hannah was very similar to me, that was kind of the basis of it, because I've often had partners in business where I felt like, why aren't you as detail orientated? Why aren't you as process driven? And it's like the most frustrating thing in the world to have to keep saying somebody, can you fill in this? Can you do that? Where are we? You know, because as far as I'm concerned, the communication has to be there whether I'm there or not. And that's how I've sort of built my businesses, because the way my brain is, it jumps around between various projects. And if I don't keep track, nobody else is going to keep track. And I hate sitting back down and going, what was the last thing I said to that customer? Because I know it was important. And then you just, that will dysregulate me and I'll get wound up. And then that's the start of the fuse starting to tick inside me. And then a few more dominoes fall and then I get hungry and then my day's over. And it's not anyone's fault. It's not one thing. It's internally in my head. Once the fuse is lit, and having worked with people before, it was refreshing to work with Hannah. And to be completely honest, our chats backwards and forwards are like, today I said we should meet, but I just don't have the spoons for it. I just don't have the energy. And being able to talk like that to somebody other than my wife, and we've got shorthand now, and being late diagnosed, it was like we both looked at each other like, how did we not? Why, you know, just like both of our kids we know are on the spectrum, just because we've seen so many kids over the years, you know. And we home educated our kids, so we saw a wide panoply of people who are outside the school system, and that's where the fun starts. Right there, I can see why they want to regulate it. They're scared of us. That's why they want to regulate it, and they want to get a vaccine, and they want some kind of medication. They're worried about the awesome outshining their dull grey. Go out and look at the markets nowadays. Go and look at clothes for men. What colour of drab would Sir like this season? Would you like brown drab or grey drab? Look at all the cars. Count the number of cars on the motorway that are grey, brown, dark, horrible colours, and then count the bright ones and go, that's a neurodiverse person. That's a neurodivergent in that car. Over there, right there, travelling at 70. They've given him a licence. Well done, you. Yeah, welcome to the madness.
Stuart's actually being a bit overly generous there, because I have been known to not fill in various bits of our spreadsheets on a.
Is he trying to tell you off subtly there?
He's like,
no, it was as I was saying. No, as I was saying it, I realised.
Stuart is so like, this is one of the things that works. And my husband is exactly like this too, and it's just brilliant. Stuart, if he had a problem with you, he would tell you. He wouldn't be rude about it, but he would tell you, you know, yes means yes, no means no. It's just a really refreshing way to work with somebody, because often in business, you know, there's a lot of beating around the kind of, well, what, you know, everyone's trying to placate each other, and actually you can be, as Stuart is, as our conversations are, you can be polite to somebody while still being really honest and having that trust with somebody. That's what good friendships and relationships are, right? You have that trust where you can say, I'm feeling a bit, you know, I say this to my husband all the time, feeling a bit crazy today, or I think my favorite word is stabby. Feeling a bit stabby today, and my husband goes, oh, okay, and stays out of my way and occasionally shouts, do you want a cup of tea? You know, or poke some food under the door.
Put away the knives just in case.
Yes.
Yes, some days my theme tune is Julian Cope's World Shut Your Mouth. And I'll say to my wife, I really want to punch the world in the face. And she's like, perhaps we don't go over to Lidl later.
Oh, don't get me started about their how do you find their entrances? Like Aldi, Lidl. There's like fences everywhere. If you go in there, you don't buy nothing. You can't get out. They've literally like locked you in like a prison.
Our local Lidl just see me skating through. I lift. I know how, the security guard has showed me how to open them. I just scoot through. They all love me because I turn up in a suit, and I don't care. It's like, I love your suit. You're not wearing a suit today. No suit.
You should tell them they should be selling these suits. Or make your own like
Oddcast
line of
suit.
like suits and like
Do it.
sell it to them.
Oh yeah, there we go.
That's the next thing on
That's
the
the next
list,
thing.
Stu.
That's your next
Yeah,
business.
write that down. That'll be out of my brain tomorrow.
Stuart and I share the same local Lidl because we live quite close to each other, and I have actually got into a bit of a fight in Lidl's many
really?
years ago.
But we're not allowed to talk about that anymore.
How many black
sorry.
eyes?
That was before I became a proper adult. Yeah.
Okay, but nothing serious.
No, there was no. I wasn't prosecuted.
You can still go to America.
So
I can still go to
Tim,
America.
you've heard our story. What's your story? How did you get to where you are? Why are you doing what you do? And what kind of things are you doing in the run up to this podcast? And what are your goals with it? To throw it right back at you, sir.
How dare you don't ask the person interviewing?
I can never get out of the
Questions.
interview mode. Look, I'm on the set right here. You know, if you're looking on the
It's going to be part of
video,
your podcast now.
yeah.
You're just going to be nicking in our episode, put it on there. But yeah, similar to you, sort of my background is in the arts, and I sort of love sort of creating things. I love this ability where you can sort of make something all by yourself, and other people would sort of get involved somehow. So it's like sort of way of you have an input, and other people sort of enjoy your input into society. Because I used to like curate art shows, and I love that sort of feeling of going into like this private view, knowing people have turned up and to be in that spot because of you. You sort of change their life a little bit of them being there. So I used to do that a lot, and it got to the point where I wasn't really making money out of curating shows, and I sort of learned into sort of making websites, because I used to do websites for these art shows, and then from there sort of expanded into doing a bit more marketing. So I literally pretty much been self-taught how to do a lot of marketing, so like SEO, website designs, coding, social media, just by doing that. Then I went back to university to do an MA degree, and pretty much from there went to I worked for a couple of people, a couple of businesses, and you don't really get treated the way you sort of expect to be treated at these places, and was made redundant about a couple of years ago.
It's bosses, isn't it? It's bosses. Am I right? It's bosses.
I think it is, yes. It's
100%.
poor management, and they blame you for their poor management.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, come on, really? Look at yourself. It's like, I'm only here to do what you told me, and well, there you go. But yeah, so got made redundant. I got because I used to work with Kiana, so my co-director, and after a bit of time, we sort of discussed a few things. Going, would you be interested about setting up a small marketing agency? And here we are. And then it's sort of just been expanding all the time, which is quite exciting. I think it's sort of when you're sort of working for other businesses, you sort of lose that excitement, that sort of passion you have. But if you do it freelance, like we're sort of doing, it's a bit more fun. You can sort of like chuck in ideas, and you sort of explore them more compared to working for another business. So that's probably an answer to your question.
Yeah, no, it's interesting.
That's a good answer.
One of the things that we find is quite a lot of the times, and this is also one of the underpinnings of the Oddcast, is that people who have struggled in traditional employed roles flourish when they take ownership of their own time and energy, because they're able to then decide what they can put into the day. And when, as so often it does when you're neurodivergent, your both energy, attention, focus and executive function can just disable what your day ends up like. Self-employment is perfect for it. Perfect. Because if you turn up and you know that you've got to do something, there's several options to you. You can outsource. You can get a freelancer in that can do the bits that you don't want to do, or you find, like I used to build websites from scratch myself, and I used to find that after a day of doing the heavy lifting of the initial coding, and then this is going to date me for any of the web nerds out there, when they bought in CSS, the options, being able to have a coloured box inside a coloured box. Oh, you don't know, you're born these days, AI, my fundament. CSS was where it's at, and then Java. Oh, action scripts. Oof. Roll over states. You don't know you're born. Listen, I just got rid of it because it was just too energy intensive. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'd get to the end of the day and I'd have what I call code head, where I was literally, it's like it amped up my autism because it's all rules based. And so my brain would just be like seeing the world like the Matrix, you know, the falling numbers. And so I decided that I didn't like spending time in that headspace. I like time in the process and the planning of it and layout, user journey, user information, user experience. And so that's kind of where I focused my attention. And funnily enough, my co-host lands very squarely within that kind of area as well. So maybe there's something in that. I don't know.
Genius brains. We're all alike, see, because we're so special. I love that.
Or just different. That's the thing. You're
Just,
special.
yeah,
and
special
unique.
and different, Tim.
But to be fair, you need to be
special and
different. That's like all the people in the in history of the world. You know, like those key members of like society, or like like Einstein and stuff. They're all different. They all stood out in their own way. And without them, there wouldn't be like a direction for people to sort of go to.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Bit deep,
yeah, totally.
Because there's a
You
lot of
always-
people are like
you always
sheep. They just follow.
You always need the outliers. You always
Mm.
need the people who sort of stand up and go, what's over there? Why haven't we gone over there yet? And
Yeah.
I firmly believe that there are vast majority of small business owners are the kind of people who stand up and go, why are we doing it this way? I'm sure there's a better way we can do this. And it's just out of frustration that a lot of people roll up their sleeves and go, right, I'm just going to have to go and do this myself.
So true. Tim, you were asking about whether the Oddcast had evolved and the evolution of it, and whether it was how it had evolved and stuff. And I think it's fair to say, or certainly from where I've viewed it, it's just obviously a lot of it's based on exactly what Stuart was saying about the processes and all of that with the production, but actually also it's just felt very natural. We're starting ourselves to get lining up some guests for the future and stuff, and the way that we're doing it is evolving, and but also sticking to what already works. Growing, I suppose, is a better word than evolving, really. But it just feels natural, doesn't it, Stuart? Without making it sound too fairyland, it just feels like it kind of you get a sense of what should be next.
I've always said that sales is a creative act because you have to evolve with the marketplace. And I love being creative because you evolve the process, you work on it, you discover things of like, well, this doesn't work, or that feels hard. So why do something that just feels like there's resistance to? And so, we haven't got a huge audience. I don't expect to have a huge audience. I expect that, we'll evolve over time and build our audience. Those are the ones that are best won, because the people who come quickly will leave quickly. The people who've stuck around from day one, you think about bands. If you've been stood in a sweaty small venue with a band and you then see them on a big stage, you're like, I've been with these guys. I feel a part of the journey. And that's you have to do that. You have to do the hard yards. You have to listen to your audience. And when they say, don't do this, do that, or we don't like that over this, that's what having an audience is about, isn't it? It's like developing your art and your act and your whole thing that you're doing to better get a bigger audience or get more appreciation from your audience. I don't know. That's why I do it. I try and do it as a most professional level that my budget will allow, and hopefully meet the audience somewhere in the middle.
Do you sort of find your audience is your third member of the podcast?
No.
No. Okay.
I've done quite a bit of sort of voice work and sort of, I want to say radio work, but I've always been told treat it like it's one listener, because if you're trying to talk to an audience, the person feels like they can leave because you've still got other people to talk to, but nobody leaves a conversation if you're having it directly with them. So I kind of try and think of it as like there's a third person sat there listening to what we're talking about, but it's only one person, which is why I don't care whether it's one person or 100 million people. If I can make one person understand what we experience and how you can benefit from your differences, traits, then that's it for me. And I already know we've done that. We've had some great feedback. So I feel that if it all ended tomorrow, and I hope it doesn't, we're planning lots going forward, that it'll not have been a wasted time. And I'll be proud to have this body of work as part of my CV going forward for any role that I go to. You know, consistency, 30 plus episodes. Oh, come on. That's, you know, that's that you're not turning up and just dabbling at that point.
No.
So I think there are a lot of benefits of doing this sort of thing, as also it marks out very clearly where I stand on this topic of diversity, equity and inclusivity. And I talking in the first person, of course it's a we, and I feel like I am hopefully raising in my small corner of the world the awareness of the people around me of, oh, that's what it looks like. Oh, but he's so great, you know. And some people might think, what a dickhead. You know, that's an example, and I don't want to be anything to do with them.
Yeah, but that's like anything. There's always someone that's going to be.
Exactly.
But I think the more people you have of those, the better it is for you. Because I find you're doing something right if there's people saying negative things about you. I think you're doing the right things, well, within reason. But I think because there's going to be people that sort of have that jealousy, and then I think it's that ability to get up and actually crack on and do something that people don't like. They're going, oh no, I'm too lazy to do that, but I don't like them doing it. So I think having that against you isn't always a bad thing. I think it's quite a good thing to show that you are hitting something on the head in the right direction.
Again, why self-employment is worth considering for the neurodivergent is this: every single day you're being judged, whether you are aware of it or not. People are going, oh, you're a bit weird, you're a bit odd, just not. Why don't I have the same response to you as I do to all these other non-player characters? I don't know. You don't feel like part of Gen Pop. So people have that, and that can make you feel like you're already out there doing stuff. So the idea of actually going, and you forget this, I've been doing this for so long, that the idea of going out to the world and saying, excuse me, but you can buy this from me, is a terrifying prospect, because you're stepping out from the herd, and that entire mindset is like, why, what, there's different, you're different. And because you're neurodivergent, you're already used to weird, different. It's not the first time that you're told that when you hear that. So you're just like, oh, I'll join all the rest of the people, I'm still doing my awesome stuff. And I genuinely believe that if more neurodivergent people woke up to themselves, they'd have had better lives, because they'd go, oh, hang on a minute, I'm just not putting up with that anymore. Making some space for themselves. And that's what I think the Oddcast is for me. It's just putting my flag in the ground and going, if you don't like it, clear space for some people who do.
Here.
Oh, Hannah's on mute. Hannah's on mute. She hasn't paid her electricity bill.
Oh no.
What? Don't silence Hannah. I silenced myself. I'm a lunatic. What? I literally cancelled myself. Oh my goodness. Right. I'm back in the room now, lads.
She's back in the room.
Don't panic. So when Stuart and I first started, it was originally like, let's do this. It might be helpful. It's helpful for us. But then quite quickly, really quickly, after the first episode, I got a couple of messages just saying, one of them just said, I felt so heard. And I was like, Stuart, look at that. Our work here is done. If we never get anything more than that, we've already like tick. That was always the point. And then there's another one of our biggest fans now. Fabulous. She's a friend of mine now. I never knew her before we started the Oddcast. She's a magnificent human. She said, you know, she was so shy. She won't mind me saying this. was shy and a bit awkward and a bit afraid of getting out there because she was the odd, she was treated like she was a bit odd. She isn't odd, she's magnificent, but anyway. So, and she said some of the advice that the episode we did about networking and stuff, she said it just gave her the guts. Like, a lot of it was proper advice. Try this, it will help you type stuff. She was like, I just did it. I just put my best outfit on, like, her real, her outfit, not some kind of dressed up, some kind of disguise, and went out there. And she was like, Hannah, I've got like 2 new clients. I've got X, Y, and Z. It's pushed her. The ripple effect of that has pushed her to, she's now got her own business. She's self-employed. She's going from strength to strength. She's set up a community for neurodivergent people. She's just magnificent. She was on a panel for AI talks and stuff the other, all of this in the space of a few short months. I'm not saying that, a huge part of her success is her, right? It's almost all of her, but actually giving somebody like her that had so much potential inside them, the confidence, a bit of advice, a bit of help to kind of go, just get out there and do it. And she did. And if that's just one person, it won't be, because it has been more than one person, but that's the point, right? That is the point. It isn't, obviously it would be incredible. The more people that we get listening, the more people we can help. I know it sounds a bit now like I'm auditioning for Miss World, sorry, but I just want to change the world. I do,
like
but
all
I just
dogs and cats.
I love pussycats. But and another thing, one of my brothers, I've got loads of siblings, I have to count them on my fingers, there's so many. One of my brothers, who is neurotypical, said he listened, and he messaged me one day, and he's quite a quiet chap. He messaged me one day and said, I've listened to all your podcasts so far and I understand you so much better. And I was like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And he said, it's a brilliant thing, because I get you more. And we find that as well, although I always assumed that actually we would just be appealing to like-minded people like ourselves. Actually, we've got people listening that are neurotypical, or certainly quite a few that think they're neurotypical. I'm not going to out people on this podcast.
Or name them.
Yeah, no, that I'm just, my point being, it is helping people that know people that might, it's helping people to understand other people, and a lot of the experience we give is based on our business experience and our business worlds that we've worked in and stuff. So that is also helpful for any person, really. So yeah, that was a very long-winded way of saying there's just so many different ways that we're kind of making a difference, I suppose, which was the whole point for me.
But it's that community, and like you were saying about shyness, I think everyone who is outgoing and out there, initially they were always shy, so you always need to just break that eggshell, I suppose, and then once they're there, a bit more creative, they can sort of be who they are. And again, with your own podcast, you sort of showing there is a community out there that they're not alone. And again, you can sort of like share, you're sort of in your own way, you're sort of sharing your ideas, your experiences on your own podcast with others, like the ones you sort of mentioned just now. So again, you sort of are helping them, even if you haven't even met them, that you're helping them.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
No,
it's very heartwarming.
I'm pleased with the response so far. I'd like to engage in more two-way, I'd like to hear input back so that we can tune what we're doing. Sometimes it can feel a little bit like shouting into a void, but it's building an audience. It's the fun bit, because when you look back, when you've got the audience, you look back and you go, oh, do you remember when it wasn't any pressure and we could do what we like and people weren't saying do this, don't do that? Oh, that's lovely. Remember those times when we were talking to an empty room and it was just us?
Yeah. But would you ever do that? Would you actually have a podcast on a stage where there's people watching you, like physically?
Oh, we've got plans.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. So I'm not going to reveal too much, but we had a discussion the other day. We had a discussion the other day about neurodivergent business and training around that and neurodivergent awareness within businesses, whether you're neurodivergent yourself or not. And our experience of that thus far has been a little bit lackluster, a little bit disappointing to see yourself represented in such an odd way, because this is the value to what we do. It's our lived experience, the whole of it, the whole messy full of it, just laid out. You're getting to hear from behind the curtain, as it were, how the business owner is. And I think that's very freeing in many respects, because when other people hear that, and as Hannah said, I feel seen and heard. That's exactly how I felt the first time I heard testament from somebody autistic saying, this is the way I think about the world, having never had anyone ever tell me this. And you go, have you just read my mind? Because, oh my God. And that's where you start to build your confidence, right around that, of like, I'm not alone. I'm now no longer just an alien on a odd planet and nobody gets me. And that was what I wanted to share. That was the confidence I wanted to give other people, because I got such negative reaction to me from around the age of it. What usually happens if you're undiagnosed is it's that they say that people start to become socially aware around about the age of 12. Now, I bet that's a lot younger these days, but around about the age of 11, when we went from junior school to senior school, it became very, very clear I didn't fit in. No matter what I tried, my best self never fitted in. I was either still a baby because I was still too busy running around and doing it, or, my interest didn't feature any of the topics that the other kids wanted to talk about, and that's very alienating. And then you put on top of that physical abuse by adults and your peers, and you're always spending your time in a fight or flight, literally a fight or flight situation up until the age of your mid-20s, and then making a decision of like, hang on a minute, I've tried to fit in this entire time. I've tried to be somebody who people got on with, people liked. I'm unhappy, very unhappy, to the point where I'm taking pills for my unhappy. So might as well just be myself. So anybody has a problem with me and they say that, you're more than welcome. Please encourage yourself to think that and disappear into the distance. I want to be able to share with people the confidence to get to the point where you go, turn up in a sales meeting, are your flamboyant, most fabulous, illustrious self, leave a wake of broken hearts and people clutching their pearls, but be remembered, than slope out and be, who was the second guy again? Or what was that first one? I'd rather be remembered and discounted than forgotten.
Amen to that. I'm not quite there yet, but yeah, mic drop moment completely.
Halfway there.
That's kind of a testament to a lot of life and a lot of therapy and a lot of this is the point with the Oddcast, the lived experience. I say I'm an unreliable witness because my memory can play tricks on me. Let's face it. I mean, it's a meat jelly, and it's got to remember all the stuff that it's got to remember. I'm amazed that I stand up and don't dribble, But the point to it is that I want to show people a true representation of what it's like, so that they realize that this polished kind of facade that people present is useful to a certain extent. You don't want to certain etiquette to things, but I'd rather have business customers who are fabulous examples of humans that I can have good conversations with and we can get some good business going for them, than a lot of handshaking and corporate speak. I just don't, it just feels too curated for me.
Icky.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, ever since I started being more myself, and that is definitely influenced by Stuart, to be fair, it really is. And I'm grateful for that. But ever since doing that, I now attract, fingers crossed, I'm going to jinx myself now. I just now attract clients, mostly neurodivergent clients. I'm not sniffing them out. I think they're sniffing me out. But secondly, I'm only working with people that I want to work with on projects where I know I can add value. There's none of that kind of trying to force that square peg into a round hole. I'm sure we've all over the years worked with a client where you're like, I don't really want to do this, but I'll make it work. And then, they're the ones where you're lying awake at 1 a.m. thinking, oh, goodness, I wish I'd never agreed to this. By the end of it, you've put in so many extra hours that you just lost the will to live. And I'm not doing that generally anymore, which is magnificent. And that is as a result of showing up as my best self. And like Stuart said, yeah, there might be people out there that don't like me. I mean, personally, I do need everyone to like me. If you're listening, please like me.
Please like me.
I'm not quite there with the kind of, if you don't, then sod off. I'm not quite there yet. I'm working towards that as a goal.
But I don't think you need to be like that to know who you are. I don't think there's like different levels of being a certain stage, but I think you're absolutely fine. I think you're always changing in your lifetime. There's not a certain point where, I've sort of peaked then at that age. You're sort of always changing with the times. And again, you can never really sort of knock yourself down, I suppose. You should always be open to changes and learning more. So I don't think you need to be like, I've got to be strict. There's no right or wrong way of thinking about it, I suppose.
No, you're right. And I think also when you believe in yourself more and you have a bit more self-confidence, it does open up, or it can open up opportunities, because you are more inclined to go with your gut on things and trust that gut. And that's a lot of what we did with the Oddcast. I mean, yeah, of course, there's a huge amount of knowledge, certainly production wise on Stuart's side and stuff, but actually just going with our gut and seeing what happened. And that's been underpinning the Oddcast from the beginning, really. And if it doesn't work, evolving it, and and it's magnificent. It doesn't feel, I mean, it isn't work, really. It doesn't feel like work, does it, Stuart? It's literally like the best part of I said to you the other day, didn't I? We hadn't done a recording for a while for various reasons, with health issues and various things, busy schedules and stuff. And then we did one the other day, and I was like, oh, I feel so, feel really, it's like therapy, just laughing and rabbiting for like, oh, it's just magnificent. So the idea that we can do that, even if that's all we did, it would be magnificent. But actually it's too, I hope this doesn't sound arrogant, but it's too helpful not to put it out there. And like we both said, even if it helps 2 people, yeah, brilliant. It's a great laugh to do, and it helps a couple of people. Magnificent. Yeah, of course. Would we like to go for world domination? Absolutely. That's the next plan. Basically, I want Hannah and Stu t-shirts.
Yes, the next stage is the training, which is going to be more like a stand-up immersive experience.
Yeah, it's going to be very good.
That's the next thing, because we were disappointed with what we saw, and we gave our feedback, and I feel like actually it's one of those moments where sometimes in business you just go, nobody else is going to do this, are they? No, this is on the universe is knocking on my door saying I'm recruiting you to do this. And so, and it's like with any creative endeavor, when the you hear the call, the siren song of the muse, and that's where the shiny thing is, you've got to go towards it. And that's part of my whole life. And I will do that until I die, because I'd rather spend my time doing things that my brain is engaged with and feels like there's genuine purpose and value in, than just turning up and putting numbers in a spreadsheet. It'd be like rust in the soul, wouldn't it? Be just like,
There's nothing wrong. Some people enjoy doing that, but personally, no.
Yeah, if that's what your brain craves, then yeah, no disrespect to the spreadsheet stuffers, of course. And I,
It is quite
I love a spreadsheet, but but it's more like Stuart was saying, really. It's doing the things that bring you joy, whatever that looks like, assuming that's not like chopping the heads off kittens or something. Don't do that. That's rubbish. That's a bit dark, isn't
Podcast
it?
as well, wouldn't it? Be a really
They keep meowing.
But think about the mess.
Oh, so messy. So
No.
messy. Oh my goodness. That's brilliant.
There's one for the cutting room floor.
There you go.
No, keep it in. It's brilliant.
I was going to say something else then, but no, I won't. It's a bit like, well, I won't say. But yes, it's like a lot of stuff where you go, oh, it's so much more effort than it's worth. Like if you did do that, it's like, really, just don't bother in the first place sometimes. But yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
crazy.
You know, it's like giving people the permission to do the stuff that they enjoy. I mean, it's not a complicated thing to say, and yet sometimes that's all people need. Somebody that they don't know that speaks a lot of sense going, do you know what? Just wear whatever you want to wear, assuming you're not running around the supermarket naked, because that's not okay.
Well, I did do
Unless
that
it's
last
Naked
week.
Tuesdays, of course. Then you
Naked
can do what you
Tuesdays in
want.
Lidl.
Not in
Wear your flip-flops.
Lidl's. I've learned that that's not the way forward.
Apparently, you're not allowed to point. That's verboten.
Point with what?
That's why I'm not allowed back in Lidl.
Banned from Lidl's.
Put that on your
yeah.
CV.
I think, you know, for in the world of neurodivergent people, like Stuart sort of touched on this, probably a lot of them, if not most of them, have had a lifetime of being told that that's not okay. Why are you like that? Stop being so much of this. We're here to say, no, be all of you. If that is talking too much, like I've learned, yeah, I do talk a lot. And just like chop the bits out that you don't like, or just go and talk to somebody that doesn't talk so much, whatever, you know, but feeling okay about that. I'm 51 years old and I still say to people, sorry, I talk a lot. And I'm learning, no, stop saying that rubbish. I have to apologize for my existence. I'm not offensive most of the time.
Quite a lot of the times, you're too much gets leveled at neurodivergent. And when Hannah pointed this out to me, I said, no. We always turn it around. Yeah, you're too little. You're not enough. And so that's the point. If they say you're too much, say, well, I'm really sorry, you're not enough. And when they say, oh, you're overthinking it, no, you're underthinking it. My experience tells me that we will circle back to this at some point and it will cost us more because guess what? You didn't listen to Stuart. We're here again. And I'm fed up being a stuck record with this. The amount of times it sounds like I'm bigging myself up, and in some way I am. But the amount of times I raise so many points and then, no. And then like the clock turns, here we are again. Did we have a problem? Yeah, we didn't do the thing that you said. Yeah.
My favorite thing, I'm sure we've all experienced this. My favorite thing, or my most annoying thing, one of my most annoying things, where you like, you know, you're in a meeting and you're a bit invisible and you're like, oh, could I just have had this amazing idea? And they kind of patronize you while you go through it. And then suddenly 2 months later, the boss of that company is like, I've had this incredible idea. And you're like, what? What? That was my incredible idea.
That's my idea. Give me a pay rise.
What the heck?
Well, there's always those situations where the conversation moves on. When you go, I had this idea for that thing before you sort of said something. And you have to sort of go back and they keep jumping back and forth. And it's, oh, okay.
So it's so annoying.
Yeah.
I remember
that's why I sort of don't enjoy that whole business sort of office environment now.
Yes.
I think when you get to a certain age, you go, no.
It's horrible. It's so horrible. I remember years ago when my kids were little at primary school and I joined the kind of friends of whatever school it was. I'm not going to out the school. It was a great school, but I joined the other mummies and daddies, mainly mummies, because, you know, and we'd arrange the Christmas fair or whatever it was. And every meeting, and I think I survived 3 before I offended somebody, every meeting they'd be like, at that point, I worked for a large format print company, and we were at one of the meetings and they were like, does anybody know anybody that could do some large printing for us? And I was like, hello, I work for a large format print company. And they were like, anybody in the room and I was like, hello, I actually work, I could get them free. Actually, I'll talk to my boss. I work for nobody, okay. And in the end, I was like, what's the utter bleep word? Am I invisible here? And it happened every time. Or they did a music thing to raise money for the school again. And they were like, does anybody? I was like, oh, I know somebody that's really famous and they'll do it for free because they owe me a favor. Does anybody know anybody that still me? And in the end, I was like, what are literally, they hate me so much that they are literally just pretending that I don't exist. So yeah, after that, I think the death knell of my commitment to that was when I ordered tequila shots at the third meeting that we had. And then that
they're not listening to you, so should be dancing on that table.
Or the other one, the inverse of that. The inverse of that is they tell you what they want. You listen to them, you repeat it back to them verbatim, you tell them what you're going to do, you do exactly what you have said that you are going to do, and you're 100% wrong. How am I wrong? Yeah, well, yeah, but you should have, some unwritten social thing that, or some kind of business rule that has not been... What? You wanted me to do it like that? Yeah, I wouldn't have done that anyway. I would have told you to do it the way we agreed to do it. No. We've had to internalize the thing. And my mum's dog said, and this is why I moved away from subjective web design, because the highest paid, or what they call the hippo, the highest paid person's opinion rules the day. So the boss, if he's paying the bill and he goes, I would need it to be black. What? The writing, yes, the writing black, but you do realize the background's black. Yes, that's right. Yes, we're making a statement. No, you're not. You're wasting everyone's time and effort. Yes, but if you really want to know, you'll highlight it and you'll see it. And you're crazy. And too much of that in my life. Get out the door. You're gone. Sack you. Away.
Yeah, but you get to a certain point when you go, yeah, whatever. Okay, let's do it that way.
Exactly.
As long as it's your responsibility, and there you go, you can have it black on black.
I've got a sign up here, and I've got a board of undeniable truths. These are the truths that I have learned in business. And when I'm having a moment, I turn to my board and I find the rule and I read it to myself and I remind myself of the time that I put it up here. And this is the one that I would suggest applies in this very circumstance. Always tell the customer the best course of action. They don't have to follow it, but you can always charge for changes.
Nice
one.
That's your top tip, Tim, right there.
Oh, there you go. I'm going to nick that.
Stick that in the excerpt.
I'm going to have that on the billboard now.
Today.
I'm going to steal that.
He's going to palm it off as his
own. On the bottom.
In a month, Tim's going to be like, I came up with this amazing quote the other day.
Be a picture of me with thumbs up going, yay.
I put it on my board, my special board. Did you, Tim?
Yes, I did. And the customer's always right, yes.
Yeah, no, the customer's never right.
Advice as well.
Rarely right. Usually incorrect. Definitely underfunded. And 100% lacks the talent to even understand the solution.
Yeah,
anyway, I've lost all my customers right there.
All your customers
just pay you for the service as well, like advice and tips. And you give it to them, and they just don't listen to you. It's like, I'm trying to help your business out. I'm not here just to take the money. I'm here to sort of actually provide a service. Oh.
So
yes, if I keep the patient alive, I get more out of it, I find, than if the patient dies.
Yeah.
I used to. So all three of us have a lot in common in that we all did or do or, dappled in building websites and stuff, because I had a stint of that. Not I don't think to the degree that either of you did, to be fair. But at one point, I just got so bored. I was always working with small businesses where it would be the person that made the decisions had no clue about it. And they'd be like, I really like orange. And I'd say, but that's not really appropriate brand color for the industry that you're in, and everyone else is doing that, and actually you want to stand out. No, I like it. And I want to talk about my nan because I loved her growing up. Okay, your nan's she sounds like a fabulous old lady, but she has nothing to do with neuroscience. So let's not stick her on your about section because you liked her. Oh no, I want to. And I want to do my own writing because I love a bit of writing. Do you? Are you a copywriter like me? No, I just like writing. And then you read their writing and you're like, oh, that needs to stay as a hobby and not go on your website, your biggest marketing tool that you have.
Well, we
So
had
at
that
that point, yeah.
for like social media with like they had like an office dog that used to come in. So that whole social media, like their Instagram, was just focused on their dog. It's like, do you want to sort of maybe focus on the products you're selling as well? And that's good to sort of separate the content a little bit, but you need something to sort of show that you're not just like a vet or something. You're actually
lover.
like you're selling stuff as well.
Have you been in this one? You've gone in for a review, you've sat down, and the client says, so we looked at your design and I showed it to my wife. And she said that there's not much in the way of flowers on the site, right? And she thinks that people like flowers, it makes them feel relaxed. So we want some more greenery, some more natural stuff on the site. Can you think you can do that? No? So nowadays, when somebody says to me, so I've shown what you've done to insert spurious random stranger. Woman at checkout in Waitrose. Yeah, I showed it to my dog and he didn't get it. I say, this is my response. You can use this yourself. Your mileage may vary, but this is what I say. They say, oh, I showed your work to whatever, and they marked it and they looked at it and went, nah. I said, I showed my invoice to my bank manager and he laughed. So should we just get on with it?
It's too low. That's what it is. Too low.
Let's not take the input.
Everyone can have an opinion. Everyone's got an opinion. Doesn't mean it's right.
That's the thing. It's so easy to give an opinion than it is to actually do anything about it. It's like, well,
imagine you went back
like that. Well, do something about it then.
Imagine you went back to your doctor and you went, so I showed your prescription to my mum and she didn't like your handwriting. In fact, she doesn't like the colour blue as a pen, full stop. Do you think you could reissue it? And she's put some notes on the bottom of what she thinks you might want to prescribe instead. Imagine that. We are where we are.
Yeah.
The problem is, I am not very good with idiots because my brain and my mouth likes to tell them. So I'm not very good at covering it up. If you're an idiot and you say something stupid to me, I am going to say, oh, that's really stupid. Whereas, and that doesn't work very nicely with clients that don't. Clients don't want to be told they're an idiot.
You can give. I had someone on the street came up because I was on my phone checking out emails. And he came up to me and it's like, yeah, I just can't use those sort of things. Yeah, but what do you want me to come back to you to say? Yes, what do you want me to say? There's like instances where you go, I don't know what I can say back to you that you're happy for that response. Sometimes it's like, what? But hey.
In other news, tomorrow is not today. Did it? I thought we were just stating bleeding obvious things to us. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't.
Time wasting out there.
As I said, I stood on way too many stages and been in front of way too many drunk people and dealt with them in a professional capacity so that everybody had a good time. We all went home and loved and hugged our nearest and dearest. That I just don't. I don't have. There is no where most people might have a social filter. My social filter never developed, and I don't have a shame gland. And I'm quite tall as well. Get away with a lot. People size you up a bit differently.
But in a strange way, you sort of need those types of people to make you sort of question yourself, I suppose.
Question your sanity.
Need that, Tim? Yeah. Like sometimes it's like you don't really want to be too comfortable in your own life. You need something to sort of give it a bit of a kink, sort of just challenge challenge that norm a little bit. And it's like, okay, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. A lot of time is, okay.
I seem to be an idiot magnet. I think they're attracted.
Apart from me, obviously.
to the
You
loud.
That's
didn't
why I'm here.
magnet this idiot.
I'm like the keeper on the horseshoe magnet of idiots. Tink.
Yeah.
No, peel me off.
The horseshoe magnet of idiots. That's magnificent.
Right. Sadly, I think I might have to end the episode today.
What have we
Sadly.
learned?
Kiana's in the
What have
background,
we
like,
learned?
get them off.
We've learned that don't follow anything Stuart has ever said, done. He is an unreliable witness. But listen to the oddcast because it will be funny anyway.
Yeah, it's like Sesame Street. Today's lesson.
Yes, exactly.
But quickly, is there any? So, if you want to plug your podcast, this is the time to do so. Is there any reasons for listeners to check out your podcast?
Oh, you're 100% more capable as a human. You're better looking. You probably like stand head and shoulders above most people intellectually if you do listen. So there's no downside. The only downside is you have to listen to us witter on. No, no, it's a heady mix of fun lived experience, fun having not had to live it is what I would point out. We try and keep it light. We try and keep it sort of businessy, but not too starchy. Swearing is allowed. It's not for children. And we encourage questions. Also, you know, if we're wrong, if you've had a different opinion to us, let us know. We're not so inured in our own ways that we can't take on board somebody else's take. You know, somebody said to me a long time ago, and then I'll hand over the mic and that's it. I'm done. The truth is a sphere and nobody can see all the way around it without people telling them what's on the other side.
I'm going to have to think about that one.
Brain teaser.
And how can listeners get to or listen to your podcast? Do you have a website?
Yes, absolutely. So
what is your website address? See, I'm here plugging you.
businessoddcast.com.
Yes,
venture over to businessoddcast.com, where you can listen to the episodes, but also you can go onto all of the normal platforms, Spotify, etc. Other listening platforms are available. We have blogs on there and resources and all sorts of stuff, and you can contact us through that if you want to tell us how magnificent we are too.
Oh, some of the writing on the blogs, I've got to say, is some of my finest work.
Ah, yes. There's been a lot of love gone into those blogs.
And some of Hannah's are some of my favourite things that I've read about neurodivergence and business.
Oh, that's a nice thing to say.
I can't wait. She sends me the proof.
Stay my friend.
She sends me the proofs, and it's like when she sends me a little link. So, well, let me know what you think. And I'm like, I'm right on it. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm stopping for a cup of tea and a read.
Oh, yeah. Go and read one of those blogs. Go and listen to the Oddcast.
Yes, please do. Well, thank you very much for your time, Hannah and Stuart. It's very much appreciated. And
thank you.
Here it is, just sign off. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting us along.
Yes, it's been fun.
It's fabulous.
It has been fun. Hopefully we can do this again because it's actually quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an update. Like this will be where Hannah and
yes.
Stu are in prison or something.
If he is actually doing his clothing line.
Yeah, yes. I'll
You
be
should
in a
do
suit.
that, even
We'll
like
be in
for
matching
Christmas.
suits.
You could do like Christmas jackets and things just to make them a bit more outgoing for like office parties.
Do it.
No, I don't want people competing with me. Get your own idea.
We'll make them as bland as possible then.
Yeah,
There's
make some
too many
cool
people already doing that.
stuff.
Go to Marks and Spencer's. There's all the bland, all in one place.
Did
you say bland? Yes, we've got it in stock. It's in stock over there. It's in the corner. Where? I can't see it. It's so bland. Your eyes slide off it.
Yeah, but why do you like ladies' stuff is always colourful, and you always have to like for a man, you always have to go through the women's section to get to the guys section, and it's always colourful, glamorous. You get to the men's, it's just black, and then it's just dull. It's like really, it's just the same shirt
guys
over
don't
and over.
demand it.
There's nothing in
Stuart.
there. It's like visiting IKEA. You go in IKEA, there's no colour. It's like your logo's blue and yellow. Where's all your colours? But yeah, it's all just white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
On that note, thank you
On
very
that
much for being interviewed today, Hannah and Stuart. It's very much appreciated, like I said, and thank you very much for your time. So if you are listening still, please check out their podcast and check out their links as well. We'll also put those links onto our own website. So if you do visit Plenty of Stuff Studio and go to our podcast, we'll also include all the relevant links and information there. But thank you very much,
Thank you.
Thank you.
and bye.
Take care. Bye.
Take care.